Welcome to Re-Educated TV, where we keep you informed. According to traditions, Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and they in turn had sons of their own. There is mention of a particular son of Japheth, known as Tark or Tagarma. He in turn had a son called Ta'unak-chan. Just to add, the words Chan and Han, C-H-A-N, and H-A-N are the same words. They are dialect variations of the word Khan, K-H-A-N. To return to the holy royal traditional lineage of the Khans, the one called Ta'unak Khan was succeeded by Jelza Khan, then Dubuk Kai Khan, then Kajuk Khan, and Alanza Khan, also known as Ilinge. Alanza Khan had twin sons, Tatar Khan and Mongol Khan. Now tradition says Tatar Khan was said to be the progenitors of the Tatars, and Mongol Khan the progenitors of the Mongols. It is also said that Alanza Khan divided his dominion between his 2 sons, known as Tatar and Mongol, and that after a long reign, Mongol left 4 sons. The eldest was called Kara Khan, who was said to have made his dwelling in the mountains of Artag and Kartag, now called Uluktag and Kitsigtag, between the Tobol and Ishim in Siberia, according to Strahlenberg. Now Kara Khan was said to have had a son called August Khan by his favorite wife. There is a story about him and his mother, August Khan that is, where it is said his countenance shone like the sun, and that he refused his mother's breast, and his mother dreamed every night that he said to her, "Mother, return to the true religion, or I will not receive your breast, and I shall perish." The mother then made a vow to worship the true God, and he immediately suckled, according to Abul Gazi. Now, according to the stories, out of August Khan came the people, the Masagetae of the Greeks. So August Khan is considered to be the eponymous ancestors of the Masagetae. He is a legendary Khan of the Turkic people, and also the eponymous ancestors of the August Turks. Some Turkish cultures refer to the legend of August Khan to describe their tribal origin. The Masagetae, or the Masagetians, were called Orthocorybantes in Latin. In Romanized Greek, they were called Orthocorobantes, and in the Old Persian language, they were called Saka Tigraxada. They were an ancient Eastern Iranian Saka people who inhabited the steppes of Central Asia and was a part of the wider Scythian cultures. Now, the Masagates rose to power in the 8th to 7th centuries BC. They conquered many territories, expelling the Scythians out of Central Asia and into the Caucasus or Caucasian and Pontic steppes. The Masagetae eventually declined after the 3rd century BCE or roundabout. They then joined forces with other tribes of Tartary to form the Alans, a people who were of the larger Samaritan tribal confederation. They journeyed westwards into the Caucasian and European steppes. So that's the Masagates. Let's briefly go over the lineage of the Khans up to August Khan before moving on. August Khan was the son of Kara Khan, who was the son of Mongol Khan, son of Alanza Khan, son of Kajuk Khan, son of Dubukai Khan, son of Jelza Khan, preceded by Ta'unak Chan, son of Tagarma Khan, who was said to be the son of Japheth Khan, who was said to be the son of Noah Khan, or Noah Han, or Noah Chan. Noah Baka Khan, son of Hulagu Khan, and grandson of Tulu. Tulu was said to be the son of Genghis Khan. Noah Baka Khan was the founder of the Ilkhanate dynasty of the Levant or Africa. Abaka Khan, son of Hulagu Khan, and Yesun Sin Khatun from the lineage of Oguz. Abaka's encampment was Murtai Khatun, sister of Tagai Timur, who was renamed or given the title of Musa. There was also Musa Khan of the Ilkhanate dynasty, who was said to have reigned for only 3 months, from April 1336 to July of the same year. His successor was said to be Muhammad Khan. Musa Khan's father was said to be Ali, son of Bedu. Let's briefly make sense of the lineage. Abaka Khan was the grandson of Tulu, who was the son of Genghis Khan. Kublai Khan was the second son of Tulu, and Hulagu Khan was the fifth son of Tulu. Here we have what is said to be the depiction of Hulagu Khan and Queen Dawkins in a Syriac Bible, right? So the Khans were Buddhist and Christians, or Christian Buddhist, long before converting to the Sunni religion. The description reads, Hulagu Khan and his Christian wife Dokuz Khatun, depicted as the new Constantine and Helen in a Syriac Bible. And here we have another version of said image found in another Syriac manuscript. Now there was also Mahmud Ghazan, the seventh ruler of the Ilkhanate dynasty, who was a Buddhist and later embraced the Sunni movement, in which all his troops followed suit. Mahmud Ghazan was the grandson of Abaka Khan. So this is the mythical lineage of the Khans, in which they say started with Noah Khan. Now the Khans/Khazars were the inventors of this system, the mandate of heaven as they call it. It is obvious that the world was divided based on the mythical lineages of the three sons of Noah. The people of this system were all the same people. Noah's three sons are considered to be the ancestors of the Semitic people, the Assyrians, Babylonians, Hebrews, Arabs, and so on. But what they failed to tell us was that the lineages of the three brothers were a lineage of Khans, or a lineage of Han, or Chan, of Saka. No, in regards to the traditions of Shem's lineage, Shem was said to have had a son called Arpakshad, who in turn had a son called Shelah, who in turn was said to have had a son called Eber, who was said to be an Iberian, Scythian, Egyptian, and a Hebrew. In fact, the word Hebrew came from this name Eber, that came from the word Iberi, and others say Ivory, which means strangers or foreigners. So the people of Eber were Asians, Africans, and Europeans, and were not subjected to any one place or region. So the followers of this lineage, or the lineages of the three sons, were Scythians, Africans, Asians, Europeans, and Americans. They were the inventors of this system, and they were Negroid. Memnon is a depiction of Noah, or should I say Noah is a depiction of Memnon, and Memnon is depicted as a Negroid. Surely the sculptors of the bust of Memnon were Negroid. What reason would there be for his Negroid appearance? We should not forget that Mr. Professor Boyd Dawkins, Professor of Geology, informed us in his lecture at Manchester University, London in 1879 that his forefathers were black, and that they invaded England in 449 AD, the same year the Saxons were invited to Ed's fleet by the African warriors who had conquered the region. Mr. Dawkins also stated that his forefathers were a warlike people. He says that these black people boasted that they were the citizens of the Roman Empire, and rightfully so, because they had conquered Rome and surrounding territories from a longer time. In the same place they took on the name German. In the time when they conquered the British Isles, they were called Germans, and is the reason why the King of England in 1751 was the Black King George II. He was Prince Elector of the Holy Roman Empire. Charles V was also Negroid, and he was Holy Roman Emperor. They were both of the Germanic tribes, whose ancestors had conquered Rome from an earlier time. So all these early tribes of Tartary were Negroid, and from the same hive. I know some people are saying, so why is Tartary depicted white? Tartary was very diverse, as they conquered many people. There were white Mongol clans or white Tartary clans that operated under the Imam or greater kings. the Tatar sacerdotal order were not taken lightly. This mandate of heaven, or divine blood, or royal blood, was taken very seriously by the Tatars, so much so that the kings or heirs were only allowed to marry their sisters from their father's side and not of their mother. This custom continued for centuries. Now, after several centuries of separated rulership by the various dynasties, the Mongols of the Ilkhanate lost all contact with the remaining Mongol captains or leaders of China. The Mongol Empire emerged from a unification of several nomadic tribes in the Mongol homeland under the leadership of Temujin, known by the most famous title Genghis Khan, where it is said a council proclaimed him ruler of all Mongols. The rapid expansion of the followers of Temujin was very great. They sent out invading armies in every direction. The vast transcontinental empire connected the East with the West and the Pacific to the Mediterranean, allowing the exchange of trade, technology, commodities, and ideologies across the world. The names Tatar, Tartary, Mongols, the Yoke, the Ego, the Golden Horde, Barbar, Berber were the same, meaning one empire. An empire means an extensive group of states or countries or peoples under a single supreme authority, which in this case was said to be Genghis Khan. Tatars existed for thousands of years, and all conquerors known to man were Tatars, who were considered to be different tribes of the same hive that traveled and populated Asia, Europe, and other parts of the world at different periods in time. The Mongol Empire began to split due to various wars over succession. As it is said, the grandchildren of Genghis Khan argued whether the royal line should follow from his son and initial heir Agade, or from one of his other sons, such as Tulu, Chagatai, or Jachi. The Tulus prevailed after a bloody purge of the Agade and Chagatai factions, but it is said that the wars continued among the descendants of Tulu after Manke Khan passed away, according to the story. So there were many wars and subsequently separations. All this was said to have taken place in the 1200s. And earlier, in 1071, the sect called the Seljuks, their church had erupted out of Iran from Afghanistan and into Anatolia, which they ruled for a long time. The Seljukians were eventually conquered by another faction of Tartary, whom were called the Ilkhanate dynasty. Both the Seljuks and the Ilkhanate Mongols amalgamated, but they were toppled yet again by another fraction of Tartary, who took on the name Ottoman. Now, let's look at the lineages of the Ottomans. The origin of the Ottomans have been quite elusive, but Mr. Higgins has informed us that they originated in Northeast Asia and rose to power in the 1200s when they took on the name Ottoman, said to come from the name Othman or Osman I. In 1293, a Mongolian Turkish tribal chieftain leader, Othman, overran his brethren, the Seljukians, or the Seljuks Turks, and founded an empire in Western Asia Minor, Turkey. Now, before the Ottomans were called Ottomans, they were called Osmanli. But before that, they were of the wider population of the Mongols. Just to add, the word Turk, Turkey, Turuk, Turuk, all came from the word Torque, or Torki, or Togarma, said to be the son of Japheth. So the dynasty that Osman I founded from 1258 to 1326 was called Osmanli, meaning sons of Osman. The name eventually became Ottoman. The empire expanded as many territories were conquered. Next to rule was Orkhan from 1326 to 1359, and then Murad I from 1359 to 1389. They ruled Western Asia Minor and Southern Eastern Europe and the Balkan Peninsula. During the reign of Orkhan, he recruited many young boys and young men to become soldiers, known as Janissaries, also spelled Janissaries. They were the most fearsome fighters. or military force in Africa and Europe. During Murad I's reign, he used the same Janissary soldiers to conquer Thrace, the area northwest of Constantinople, in 1361. He then moved his capital to Adrianople, which was the second largest city of the Byzantine Empire. This conquest ultimately cut off Constantinople from the rest of the world. So with Adrianople being the capital, they were able to control the principal invasion routes through the Balkan Mountains, giving the Ottomans access to further expansion to the north in Europe during the last victorious battle of Murad I against Balkan enemies. He was terminated in that battle. His successor was Bayezid I, 1389 to 1402. Bayezid I defeated the Turkish strongman Karaman in 1391 and then went on to put down a revolt of his Balkan subjects. Now, Bayezid's successes and achievements attracted the attention of Timur-Lenk or Tamerlane. Tamerlane attacked and was victorious over Bayezid in 1402. He perished within a year in captivity. Bayezid I, that is. Timur-Lenk was now head of the empire from 1402 to 1413 and then retired from Asia Minor, leaving the sons of Bayezid to take up where their father had failed. So the four sons then fought for control until Muhammad, one of the sons, terminated the other three and took control. He reigned from 1413 to 1421. He was succeeded by Murad II. Murad II reigned from 1421 to 1451. Then the next to rule was Muhammad II, who ruled from 1451 to 1481. He was the one whom had completed the siege of Constantinople in 1453 and made it the capital of the Ottoman Empire. Muhammad II was now the ruler over a vast area. He incorporated the Crimea in Russia on the north coast of the Black Sea. Muhammad was in possession of a large empire that included the Byzantine city of Constantinople. Following Muhammad II to the throne of the Ottoman Empire was his son Bayezid II, 1481 to 1512, and his great-grandson Suleiman I, the Magnificent, 1520 to 1566. Bayezid extended the empire in Europe. He also turned the Ottoman fleet into a major Mediterranean naval power. He was replaced by his son Selim I. Selim I had his brothers eliminated, their sons, and all but one of his own sons. He then established control over the army. It was Selim's surviving son Suleiman who came to the throne. Suleiman was very wealthy. Old and new revenues from the expanded empire made him see more power and wealth unparalleled in Ottoman history. He captured Belgrade in 1521 and Rhodes in 1522 and broke the military power of Hungary in 1529. He laid siege to Vienna, Austria, but was forced to withdraw for lack of supplies. Now, before Muhammad II's era, Selim and Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire were of mixed races, so they were both Negroid and white Ottomans. Before they took on the name Ottoman, they were all Turks. During the reign of Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire was at the height of its political power. Suleiman then retired to his harem. His viziers or prime ministers took more control and authority. After Suleiman passed away, the army gained the Sultanate and was able to use it for its own benefit. Now, Europe combined forces or united forces of Venice, Spain, and the Papal State of Italy defeated the Turks at the Battle of Lepanto off the coast of Greece. During the reign of Selim II from 1566 to 1574, under Murad II's rule, 1574 to 1595, the Caucasus was conquered and Azerbaijan seized. 29 years later, the Ottomans were driven out of the Caucasus and Azerbaijan in 1603. However, under the rule of Murad IV in 1623 to 1640, the empire remained strong in the east. When Selim III came to the throne, 1789 to 1807, he attempted to reform the empire and his army. He failed and was overthrown. Control of North Africa had passed to local notables. In Egypt, Muhammad Ali 1806 was laying the foundations for an independent kingdom. At this point, the European nations had united or cooperated with each other and were more powerful. At the same time, more notables or local rulers began to spring up all over Africa and beyond, which further caused the Ottoman sultans to lose internal control of their empire. In 1826, 5 years after Greece began fighting for independence, the Janissaries royal army of the empire revolted to stop reforms. Muhammad had them massacred and constructed a new military system in the style of European armies. By the time of Mahmud's passing, the empire was strong in some areas and weak in other areas. Mahmud's son, Abul Medici I, ruled from 1839 to 1861, and Abul Aziz, 1861 to 1876, carried out further reforms, especially in law and education. So the Ottomans ruled many territories, from the Caucasus, parts of Europe, parts of Africa, and other territories. Now the big question is, were the Ottomans or that faction of Tartary in the Americas? And if so, would account for white Tartary in the Americas? Remember, the Ottomans had conquered the factions of Tartary in parts of Asia, the Turkish countries, the Balkans, Russia, and surrounding territories. This is the famous white Tartary that we all have come to know. Now, the Tartarian structures or architecture seen around the world is proof of their existence in all those territories, all through Europe, all through Asia, all through the Americas. They were built by ancient Tartary and maybe as recent as the 1600s to 1700s. Now, from the 1400s or roundabout, the word or term Moor was used to refer to all tribes of Turks and extended to others. We should not forget that the people, the Turks, are the followers of Togarma or Torki, who was said to be the son of Japheth in its mythos. The Mohammedans the followers of Ham, and the Persians the followers of Shem, according to traditions. But they were all the same people. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Take care.